This is the Cubs Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Chicago Cubs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Cubs Postcast here on the Locked On Cubs YouTube channel. Joe George here with you on all social media platforms at Joe George Radio. The Cubs are down 2-0. Porter Hodge comes into the game, gives up a 6th spot, and John Birdie has to finish the 8th inning. On a day in which Shota Imanaga was not at his best and the lineup absolutely did nothing to support their starter. We'll get to all of that on today's show. Remember, hit that subscribe button on YouTube, anywhere you find your podcast, as well Apple and Spotify. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. On a day like this, we will also take lots of questions and comments from the chat because not a lot of great things, honestly, to talk about in this game. Well, we'll still go through the ebbs and flows of what happened in the Cubs' 8-1 loss. We'll start today's show off with our turning point of today's game.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
All right, for this exercise, for this brief part of the show here, we're going to pretend like Porter Hodge didn't happen. So the Cubs are losing 2-0. Why did the Cubs lose this game? It's not all on Porter Hodge. Obviously, he was terrible. But the offense, the lineup is really, to me, the turning point of today's game. I think there's two specific instances where you can look at what happened for the Cubs lineup and say this is why they lost. Let's go first to the top of the 6th inning. So you get a Kyle Tucker walk, a really great play in right field from the Minnesota Twins right fielder, the sliding catch on PCA, and then Michael Busch hits maybe the longest single of the season. So it's 1st and 3rd with 2 outs. You're down 2-0, and you've got a chance to do some damage here in the top of the 6th before Shota Imanaga goes back out to the mound. Instead, Dansby Swanson, who, yes, everyone wants to see move down in the order. At this point, I'm not really sure for who. Nico Horner is probably the only option. He strikes out, and the inning is over. So that's instant number 1 of where the Cubs really, truly lost this game. Then we go to the top of the 8th inning. This one I think is way worse because of who came up to the plate after the start of the inning. So Ian Happ hits a single. Remember, it's 2-0 at this point. Kyle Tucker has an incredible at-bat to draw the walk. So it's 1st and 2nd with nobody out. You got Seiya Suzuki, Major League Baseball's RBI leader, all-star snub, PCA, all-star starter, MVP candidate, and they put up 2 of the ugliest at-bats of the game, swinging at everything and anything outside the zone. Both of those guys strike out to get the 1st and 2nd out of the inning, not moving either of Happ or Tucker from their respective spots on the base pass. And then Michael Busch smokes a ball to right field, but just right to the right fielder. So your lineup just didn't do anything in this game. Like, that's really why the Cubs lost. Is Shota, who we'll talk about here in a little bit, was obviously not his best. Tons of hard hit contact. I think they said it was like 16 or 17 balls hit over 95 miles per hour for him today. So obviously the damage could have been much worse for Shota before Hodge even came in and stunk it up. But the lineup had opportunities, very little opportunities, but they had opportunities to score runs, and they didn't do that. And honestly, it's just the feeling, and I think we all feel this way as baseball fans, where it feels like for the Cubs this year, it's either a lot or nothing. Now, this is only the 6th time they've been shut out this season, right? So it's not like this is happening all the time, but there are just moments where we know the Cubs, they go out there, and the lineup doesn't perform in the way it needs to. It feels like they leave things to be desired, and those 2 instances, they're in the 6th inning, they're in the 8th inning, just leave a lot to be desired from Dansby Swanson, Seiya Suzuki, and Pete Crow-Armstrong. All those guys, really. And, like, I get it. Like, you can look at numbers and say, like, what's the big deal? Like, I see Mark here in the chat. I see it here, Mark. Dansby Swanson on pace for 28 home runs and 80 RBIs. That's great. That's great. But, like, well, cool? Like, he's batting 5th and he strikes out in the most important situations a lot, it feels like. And, like, I'm sure there are numbers that might tell you the other way about that, but that he does come through occasionally. But it's just an ugly one, honestly, for the Cubs today. There's really no looking at this game and saying like anything they did was very positive overall. And let's talk about Shota Imanaga here for a second. So Shota comes in, and he's just not his best. He wasn't terrible. He wasn't, good really by 2-0 early. Again, there's throws. Oh, there we go. Tons of hard contact in this game happening from the Twins. He's battling through it, though, and that I think I will take that as a positive for this start for Shota Imanaga, just to go out there to still get a quality start in a day in which you're getting hit around left and right, and finding a way to get out of these situations without giving out the long ball. Ian Happ had a fantastic day in the outfield. The one inning where he had a great read on it and left, and then he went up back to the next play, back against the wall, had to make a jumping catch so it didn't hit off the top of the wall. So he had a great day in left field. Nearly had a great diving catch there as well later in the game. So he had good performances defensively. That really backed up Shota in this one, but he just didn't have his best stuff. Now, thinking about the big picture of this season, I don't think Shota Imanaga's had his best stuff most of the year. Like, the numbers don't really reflect that. But I think we can all tell watching, like, he doesn't feel like he is as good as he was last year. Is he still been good? Absolutely. He's been really, really good this year. But you can even see, they talked about it a lot on the broadcast today, and they kept showing it. You can see the emotion on his face. And every time the ball was getting hit far, you could just see the frustration. You could tell he just did not have it in this one. Even you think back to the one at bat against Byron Buxton, where it's 3-0. He struggled to get the ball across the plate, throws a fastball. Buxton swings at it, hits it out to PCA to get the first out of that inning. He just didn't have it. His strikeout numbers have to be down this year. I haven't looked over year what they are, but he's not striking out guys as much today. So he's been grinding a lot more through these starts, which you have to do. Like you have to do to be a quality Major League Baseball pitcher. You're not going to have your A stuff all the time. And Shota Imanaga absolutely did not have anything close to his A stuff in this game. All right, when we'll take a break here, we'll get your questions and comments on the other side. We'll talk about Porter Hodge, what we saw in the game today. The continued struggles of Matt Shaw as well are really standing out, because I definitely disagree with what they were talking about at the end of the broadcast there about Matt Shaw and how he has not been very good this year and how it doesn't matter. Definitely don't agree with that. Before we go to break, funny comment here from TJ here in the YouTube chat. A silver lining, Birdie lowered his ERA. Yeah, I never imagined a 2-0 game you would see John Birdie come in and have to get out of an inning because of how bad it went for Porter Hodge. We'll talk about that next year on the Locked on Cubs postcast on the Locked on Cubs YouTube channel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You're already following the action, so why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. It's easy to use, you get fast payouts, and even can make regular season games feel like they are must-watch events, which honestly the Cubs kind of do that for you on a daily basis anyways, except for a day like today. So if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today and visit FanDuel.com to get started. Today's show is also brought to you by OpenPhone. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had a service emergency, like a burst pipe. If the first plumber didn't answer, did you wait? No, you call the next one. So that's why having a reliable business line is so important. And that's why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system that helps you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app. That's OpenPhone.com/LockedOnMLB. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers. All right, questions and comments here in the chat. A lot of conversation happening here right now about Matt Shaw. Mike says here, what has Shaw done to deserve to play every day? It's an interesting question. We'll start here. One, he's better than your other options. That's number one. Like, he is better than everything else you have in your farm system, on the Major League roster. Matt Shaw is the best option for you at third base. Now, Is that a reflection of the front office? I think a little bit. I feel like it's pretty clear Matt Shaw needs more time in the minors. There's absolutely no reason whatsoever to give up on the future of Matt Shaw and think about, you know, what he means to the Cubs long term. Now, they might tell you differently at the trade deadline. I don't think it's totally unrealistic to think that Matt Shaw is not a member of the Cubs organization on August 1st, depending on the moves that could be made. If you had the chance to go out and acquire a big-time third baseman, it's very logical that Matt Shaw could be part of that deal. But for now, he's there because he's your best option. He's elite defensively. That's very clear, but he's struggling. When he first came back up from the minors, we can all think back. He had multiple games in a row with opposite field doubles. It felt like he had fixed his issues. Now, one thing I want to point out, though, about that is if you think back to what happened with Matt Shaw, as he goes down to the minors, he doesn't change his leg kick until like the 3 days before he's called up. So it's not like he went down there and immediately changed what he was doing. He changed it and then was automatically called back up because they needed him because of how bad guys like Gage Workman and them had been at third base. So he hasn't really had a chance to work in the minors with this totally different swing. So I think for me, the realistic option, like the best option for the Cubs right now and for Matt Shaw for the long-term future, honestly, would be to add a third baseman at the deadline, keep Shaw in the system, and find a way just to get working with him in the minors to improve him. Because I think he is an important long-term piece for the Cubs. Now, we know every prospect doesn't pan out, but way too early like to jump off that bandwagon. So, but yeah, I think honestly, watching the game again tonight, I think lost is a fair word. Matt Shaw feels lost out there. Now, this is a lot on Matt Shaw in a day in which the lineup did nothing again, right? And it was your best players, your highest paid players in PCA, Seiya Suzuki, and Dansby Swanson, who had opportunities to bring in runs and didn't do it in this game. You know, Kyle Tucker was getting on base. Michael Busch was making good contact and getting hits in this game. It was the other guys that didn't come through when you needed them. So sorry for beating up on Matt Shaw a little bit, but I think it's fair because he's struggling. Now, Porter Hodge. Bad day at the office for Porter Hodge. What's concerning about Porter Hodge is that he had a performance like this in the minors before he had to get called back up. He was supposed to have like one appearance in the minors, come back up. I think he gave up 8 runs or like 6 to 8 runs in his minor league appearance. So they pushed it back, gave him one more appearance in the minors. Then he came up to the Cubs. They're using him in low leverage situations. This really felt like this was the first time since he's been back from the injured list to where Craig Counsell put him out there in a high leverage situation, right? Like your best part of the lineup is not up, no, in the 9th inning, but it's a 2-0 game, a team that has scored over 10 runs like 15 times this year. You're definitely not out of this baseball game. Hodge comes up there and just gives up, 6 straight guys getting on base, multiple home runs, back-to-back home runs early on in the inning. He just looked bad. Like it's the opposite. I guess it's like what could have happened to Shota, where there was all this hard hit contact against Shota Imanaga and nothing really came to fruition from it. It all came to fruition for Porter Hodge. He was just not good. And probably just have to keep him in the low leverage situation. Like I think back to before he got hurt doing these shows when he was closing and it was like, no doubt, he's the closer, he's the closer, he's the closer. And now I don't want to see Porter Hodge anywhere near in this moment in a high leverage situation. So he was awful today. There's no other way to cut it. Like he just was not good. I mean, again, the fact that John Birdie had to come in, had to get more outs than you in that inning, I think just shows you how bad it was for the Cubs. Congrats to Justin Turner for hitting his 200th home run and making me change all my graphics from saying the Cubs got shut out and then they weren't because he got his 200th home run of his career. So congratulations to Justin Turner for that. But that's really the only positive part. And also, yeah, the Brewers won again. The Dodgers have lost 5 straight games. 2 of those are to the Brewers, and it is a 2.5 game lead for the Milwaukee ahead of the Milwaukee Brewers right now in the division. It's a spicy race already. I mean, I heard Sam on a Spaces yesterday talking about who like the threats are in the National League, and the Brewers they're a real one. They are a real threat this year. Obviously to the Cubs, but I think to other people as well. Their pitching is obviously very, very good. The Cubs got to get this thing back going for sure. on a more consistent basis. Like they're playing good baseball. Today was obviously terrible, but for the most part, like they're playing good baseball. Mike asked here, with Tyon going on the injured list, the Cubs need to trade for a big arm yesterday. Yeah, absolutely. My guess is the market is not there yet, honestly, for the deadline. We're 23 days away, whatever it is from the deadline. The expanded playoffs make the Major League Baseball team, deadline, I think a lot less interesting, honestly, until you get closer, because like Seth Lugo is being brought up. I've brought him up before. I think he'd be a great trade target. He pitched very well for the Royals today. But right now the Royals are 4.5 games back of a wild card spot in the American League. A lot can change in the next 20 days for the Royals. Like you have a player like Bobby Witt, like it's hard to get a real read on who is, going to sell at the deadline. And I think that's why we haven't seen it happen yet, a move just yet. I expect the Cubs to be aggressive. I just don't think we'll see more soon. I think it's going to be a little bit. Let's see. Ramon asks here, what would you like to see more? Brujan getting DFA'd or Dansby hitting 8th? Dansby hitting 8th. Because whoever replaces Brujan is not going to play either. So yeah, move Dansby down. I think it's very simple. Move Dansby down. I like what they're doing with Michael Busch, playing him against lefties, moving him up in the order. That's the right move. But yeah, it's hard to, I know we're just fans, right? But it's hard to ignore that Dansby's most success this season came when he was batting 8th. And it continued a little bit as Counsell moved him back up in the lineup, but it's fallen off again. So I like the idea a lot of moving him down. Like I just don't think they're going to do it unless they acquire someone like a third baseman. I don't think we'll see him move down. Josh says he thinks the Cubs need Eugenio Suarez. He might be on the Cubs' radar right now. Yeah, look, against a righty, that'd be great. He's awful against lefties this year. Last I checked, he was hitting 179 against lefties this year, so he doesn't solve the lefty problem, hitting lefty problem that the Cubs have right now. But Suarez would be great. What's interesting about the guys in Arizona is they're all saying they don't want to be traded. Like they Gallen, Suarez are both like, no, we like it here. Like we want to be part of this to fix it. So I guess it doesn't really matter because it's a business at the end of the day. And it don't have a ton of say in who, if you are or not traded this season, but they're the team I'm looking at. Merrill Kelly, another one. Seth Lugo, again, I'll mention, and then the guys from the Marlins as well. So James asked, can Aramis Ramirez still play? No, I don't think Aramis Ramirez can still play. One of my favorite Cubs of all time, though. I loved Aramis Ramirez. I don't feel like he gets the love he deserves, honestly. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't feel like he gets the love that he deserves from Cubs fans from that era of Cubs baseball. All right, well, that will do it for us. So we went longer than I thought we were going to go on today's show. So that's it for this one. The Cubs lose 8-1. Back in action tomorrow against the Minnesota Twins. We'll be back here live on YouTube as soon as the game ends, live for 15 to 20 minutes after every single Cubs game. So make sure you hit that subscribe button to YouTube. Also, I create the channel or the video room around the 7th inning. So you're more than welcome to jump in, hit the chat, or hit that notify me button so you can get a notification when we go live. So thanks for watching. Talk to you tomorrow. Peace.